Hey, you Wasteland wannabes and Raider rejects. It's me, the one and only Dr. Professor Majestic. Now, I was poking around in our niche little community here and noticed that no one really talks about all the perks in a way that is easily digestible in a format that would make sense. So, a few of the eggheads got together and thought that I would be the best way to present this information, start this conversation. So, real fast, let's talk about the perk tiers, if you will. First up, we got S. Anything in S means that if you can take it, you should consider taking it at some point. Really, really want it. A tier. Anything in A tier is probably something that you're gonna build around. These are perks that you kind of build the foundation of who you are as a person in the wasteland. B tier perks are things that kind of support the A tier perks. They're nice to have, but you're not necessarily building around them most of the time. C tier is where we get into more flavorful things, if you will. Nothing in C tier is bad, but what the eggheads decided is, thinking about it, would between a B and C tier, the difference is a C tier perk they could see given someone for free, say as a quest reward. D tier. D tier, don't let it distract you. This is where all the crafting perks are gonna live. Spoilers. The eggheads don't think that crafting perks are very good game balance, but if you want to do that sort of thing, if you're running that sort of thing game, they're good. They work. The important thing to remember is that not everyone needs the crafting perks. There's no reason to be having 4 people all with armor or rank 1. Last up, we got the notes here. These are for perks that just don't work, or their effect is too bad to work. So let's jump into this. First up, we got Action Boy or Action Girl, presuming your preference, straight into S tier. Being able to take that extra action with no difficulty, sign me up any day. Next up, we got Adamantine Skeleton. That's going to go into B tier. It's alright to not be taking as many crits, but I think personally that you should be specking into better armor and damage resistance rather than taking just straight health damage. Adrenaline Rush, this is C. 7 strength to take it, and then it boosts your strength to 10. If you're playing a strength-based fella, you probably should just have higher strength naturally. Then we got Animal Friend, also in C tier. It's just not as useful as you would want it to be. It's not going to work when you really need it to be, say against a really giant bear or some sort. Next up, we got Aqua Boy or Aqua Girl. Where did we put this? We put this in B, but there's a very heavy caveat that this is very setting dependent. If you're somewhere with a lot of water, yeah, I could see taking this. If you're back home in the Mojave, probably not. This is armor, I believe. Yes. Yeah, it's probably one of the best crafting perks, simply because everyone can use better armor. Then we got awareness. This is also going into B. Being able to aim. If you can aim, you should. It's limited to close range, but it has a good effect, and aiming is always useful. Continuing on with our strength stuff, we got an S tier perk with Barbarian. This is just straight up good damage resistance for the level you get it at. Can't really beat it. It's like 2 ranks in toughness, which, spoiler alert, it's probably going to be right in here in the A tier. Next up, we got Basher. Now, I don't want to tell you how to live your life, unless you want to live like me, Dr. Professor Majestic. But you've got a gun. You should probably be using your gun as a gun and not as a baseball bat like my good friend down here. You could also just carry a baseball bat if you're needing a backup melee weapon. We got better criticals up next. This is a good perk, being it's a bit of a steep luck investment, but A tier. Better criticals, always better. Big Leagues is up next. Getting Vicious on your 2-handed weapons may not be as great as you think it is. Vicious, I don't really pretend to understand the math of it, but the average die roll of damage is about 1. Adding vicious to a weapon makes it about 1.5. Not really even. It's like 1 in 15, 1.15. It's not a little overrated, is all I'm saying. Next up, we got Blacksmith. This is the crafting perk for melee weapons, right into the rest of the crafting perks. Next, we got Lady Killer or Black Widow, pretending on your preferences. There's probably a better reason to take that is if you're of the female persuasion. There's a lot more lads than lasses out there in the waste, so I'm not going to pretend to know why that is. But it can go in B tier, it's useful. Next up, going into C tier, we got Blitz, 9 agility for a perk that I don't think most melee characters actually want, honestly. It still uses your movement action, it's only extra damage at rank 2. It's just, there's no reason for it. Bloody Mess, A tier perk, held back a little bit by the randomness and how often crits can be rolled at lower levels. Next up, we got Can Do. That's going to go for C tier for Can Do. Most of our scavenging perks are also going to be in C tier. I don't think many of them in the Eggheads agree that they leave a little bit to be desired, power-wise. Going along with that, it's not quite a scavenging perk, but Cap Collector, 10% better prices. You just got to have a Dr. Professor Majestic in your party, someone to grease the wheels a little bit and get that extra 10%. Sure, this stacks. If you got a free bit of perk slots for it, you can take it. I don't think it's that great. Cautious Nature, A tier perk. Anytime you buy an extra die roll, you're getting to re-roll one for free, like a luck point. Hell yeah, that's really useful. That's a complication into a non-complication. That's a miss into a possible crit or hit. It's real good. Center of Mass. Let's see here. Agility 7 requirement. It's not nothing, but it's good. It always works. This is an 8. This is a B tier perk. Forgive me. Now we got Chemist. This is a crafting perk, so it goes into the D tier for crafting. Chem Resistant. This is going to be our first no tier. It is incredibly hard to get addicted to drugs that aren't alcohol in the wastelands. Let me tell you, if you're getting addicted to drugs, you're doing too much drugs. If you're getting addicted to alcohol, there's a better perk for it. Commando is up next. This is going to go into B tier for Commando. The thing is, most of the damage perks that just increase the damage type by a damage category of weapons, I should say, by 1, is probably going to go into B tier. There's one exception to that we'll be getting to. Comprehension, C tier. If you like a magazine perk, you should just take it as a perk when you can, rather than try and get an extra use out of it. This is Concentrated Fire. Again, this is a free luck roll, basically. Crazy with energy weapons. Bit of a high requirements, but that doesn't keep it out of A tier. You can ignore this little bit here. Next up, we got Daring Nature. This is strictly worse than Cautious Nature, just straight tier down. Demolition Expert, very, very good. Explosive weapons in general, crazy good. I know I was kind of being a little harsh to the vicious quality, but most explosive weapons have a different quality next to them that make them better if they do more damage, and that vicious by itself, let me say, isn't anything to write home about. But vicious plus something else, like persistent, I'll sing its praises till the cows come home. Fuck's a cow? Oh, whatever. Except we got Dodger. Dodger is a bit action economy intensive. It's got some level requirements that I'm not the biggest fan of, but it can go into B tier. If you're a 2 defense person, it can take you to 4 defense possibly. That's not nothing. Dog Meat. You know, I'm a hound person myself. They're pretty great. The Eggheads wanted to put this in S tier, but I had to take them down to A tier. I think the emotional strain of losing your dog is too much for me. Even though you could get them back, there's reasons to take it. There's reasons to not. It's an A tier in heart in our. It's an S tier in our hearts and an A tier in reality. Entomologist, I don't know who you are, but if you're having trouble fighting insects, you should probably not be out in the wastelands. You should consider taking up the life of a potato farmer. This is, I believe, this is faster healing. Yeah, faster healing. This perk doesn't work. This only applies to your rested regaining of health. This is not for just like being healed. This is for sleeping. If you are so injured that you need to get extra healing, you should be seeing a doctor. You should not be trying to sleep off a gunshot wound. Faster metabolism, however, actually kind of all right. One extra health whenever you get healed by anything that isn't resting. Not bad at all. Again, I should tell you to just heal, but it can go into C tier. Finesse. This is great. Full damage rerolls on an attack. Bit of a high requirement, but yeah, that doesn't keep it out of A tier. Fortune Finder goes with all the other scrounging perks. It's not a whole lot of caps. Ghost is up next. This is for your stealthy types. I'm not going to pretend I see you even on the best of days. A tier. For us lucky types, we got Grim Reaper's Sprint up next. The issue that we've had with Grim Reaper's Sprint is that the lucky type has to be the ones to get the kill for the effect to trigger. That can put a damper on things. C tier, but a high C tier. Gun Fu. This is basically your extra attack for you gun nuts. This is an easy A. Or easy S, I should say. Gun Nut. This is a crafting perk. You know how we feel about him here. Gunslinger. This is probably the best of the damage perks, simply because its alternate effect of being able to reroll hit locations is really good. Hacker. This is going into B for boring. It does the thing. I don't know how many terminals you're finding. Judging based off of the issues I've had trying to set this up with the other Eggheads, there's not a whole lot of functioning terminals left, and the know-how is long since gone. This is the third recording of this piece of shit. What do we got here? This is Healer. Yeah, this is C tier. I like it. It's really good on your doctor types. This combines with things like the first aid kit. It's good. It doesn't quite make it into B tier. Next we got Heave Ho. This is a high strength requirement thing, but because it can affect explosive weapons, this is pretty good. A tier. The only thing keeping this out of S is that the requirements for the strength-based perk and some of the more explosive weapons don't quite match each other, so the stat spread can get a little wonky. In C tier, we got Hunter. This is basically just Etymologist, but better. I could see myself actually wanting this effect. Infiltrator. This is Hacker, but I tend to find that there's more locked things than locked computer terminals. B tier. Inspirational. I know of two or three things about this. Straight into A tier. Extra AP to go around. What is this? This is intensive training. B for boring. You should probably be making your stat array in such a way that you can get all the perks you want. If you need one or two boosts from intense training, it's probably not the end of the world. It's always an okay option if you don't know what to be doing. I don't think it's great, though. It can stay in B tier. Iron Fist. There's not a ton of fist options. You'll probably end up taking it as a fisting kind of character. B tier with all the other damage perks. Tales of a Junktown Jerky Vendor, boring. The effect is okay, 10% either way. B tier, again, for boring. Jury Riggin, not as useful as I would like it to be. It is any item, not just your weapons, so maybe you could repair something in the environment, but I wouldn't rely on that too much. Laser Commando goes in with the rest of our damage perks. Lead Belly, it's kind of boring. C tier. There's some equipment and there's some chems and whatnot to be getting around radiation. I don't find that you really need. There's also just another better perk to be dealing with radiation. Life Giver. The first rank of this, I think you should be taken no matter who you are. It can sometimes be as much as a 50% bonus to your health at the level that you can take it. Yeah, you should be taking it. At least the first rank. Light Step. We couldn't figure out if this was a mistake, but this is on any agility-based complication roll. This is straight S tier. Most people should be able to take it. It's got basically no requirements. Let me double check that before I make a fool of myself. Man, I've been blasting through these. This is way faster than the two other recordings, let me tell you. Yeah, no requirements. This is a crazy good perk. Next up, this is Master Thief. Very high requirements, but if you're the thief type, you want it. B tier. Medic, this is the best doctrine perk around. A tier. Meltdown. Kill your friends. Kill yourself. No. Mr. Sandman. This is suppressed weapons and sneak attacks. This is probably better than most of the other damage perks simply because it's +2 damage rather than 1. And sneak attacks are already pretty useful. This is Moving Target. This is an S tier perk. This is a free defend. This is a reliable way to defend for free. Mysterious Stranger, if you got the luck, he comes in and he swoops in, saves the day with one really good, very likely to hit attack. It's not bad at all. Nerd Rage, 1/4 of your maximum HP. Let me tell you, that's not a lot. You should not be hanging out in that area for making attacks. Night Person, S tier. Kind of a if you've got the perception score to take this, you should take it. Easy chance that it's gonna see a lot of play. Ninja, kind of the same thing as Mr. Sandman, but for melee weapons and unarmed strikes, I believe. Nuclear Physicist, C tier. I don't think the effect is that great. It's some extra uses of fusion cores. I don't think you should be using radioactive damage as a wastelander. I think that you're going to be fighting a lot of stuff that doesn't really care about it. Aim Train, again, maybe not the best perk. It has the same issues I have with something like Animal Friend, where it might not trigger when you really need it to. It uses your movement action. Paralyzing Palm. This is why you play a fisting character. Let me tell you, stun is nothing to knock your nose at. This is Party Boy and Party Girl. This keeps you from being addicted to alcohol, and now alcohol is as good as a stim pack for you. This is, if you've got the stat spread to make this work, it's very good. Unfortunately, the stat spread is a little awkward, so it doesn't break into A tier. Pathfinder. Travel distances in half the time. I don't know how often you're traveling in your environment, but it's okay. It's going to stay in C tier. If you're doing a lot of traveling, it would be better, but the difference between making it somewhere in 30 minutes versus an hour is not as good as the difference between 8 days and 4 days. This is Pharma. This is the best scrounging perk. It goes in tier above the other scrounging perks. Pickpocket. If you're the stealth character, you'll probably be taking it. It's got kind of high requirements, A tier. Piercing Strike goes with the kind of other damage perks. Pyromaniac also goes with the other damage perks, but I will say that fire-based weaponry does get a little bit more use out of extra damage on average because they tend to get that persistent effect. Quick draw, drawing something else for an extra free action, no minor action, I should say. Very useful. Basically required if you're trying to play a throw-in type character. S tier. Quick hands, the agility requirement holds it back. Depending on the version of the game you're running, it might double or it might add +2 to the fire rate of things. A tier. What is this? This is rad resistance. Yeah, you should be having some rad X on hand. Radaway is not as expensive as you might think. It's going to go in C tier. Refractor. This would be good, but it has a strange stat array, so that if you're trying to be the tanky type, you probably won't meet the stat requirements for it. Ricochet. Ricochet, I wanted to put into the notes here. I think it's too situational and too circumstantial, and its effects are not that great. But it is funny, so it gets to be in the C tier. Rifleman, it's a damage perk. It goes with the other ones. Robotics Expert, crafting perk. It goes with the crafting perks. I believe this is... What we got? Yeah, this is Science crafting perk. It goes with the crafting perks. Scoundrel. Now, if you're a high charisma type, you probably really don't need this. Even rolling complications might not even be the end of the world. But you can probably have a spare slot at some point for it. C tier. Scrapper, kind of a crafting perk. Basically all the other crafting perks want you to have this. D tier for Scrapper. Fortune Finder, I believe is what this is. Let me double check here. So, no, this is the actual Scrounger perk, what I've been calling all of them. Yeah, this is extra ammo. It's okay. It's always the lowest type of rarity ammo you find, which kind of really holds it back. If it could have been any ammo type, I could see it being very good. Maybe it would break into the Pharma B tier with it. Shotgun Surgeon, we went back and forth between B and C on this. At the end of the day, we settled on C tier, but we're both probably could be convinced that it could go up into B tier. Size matters. It's another one of the damage perks. It can live with all the other damage perks. I think it's kind of worse because your big guns tend to do enough damage already. Skilled. This is an S tier perk. Being able to take something from, say, 3 to 6 in one perk is really good. Spoiler alert. This is... Sorry, in one level, I should say. The one rank from leveling up and then 2 from the perk itself. That is extra crits. That is extra AP generated from extra successes. Slayer, A tier perk. Same as better criticals, but without a luck requirement and for strength characters. Smooth Talker. It's niche. Even on someone as charismatic as yours truly. C tier for niche. Snake Eater. Now, as much as this name makes me chuckle for reasons I cannot adequately describe, it kind of goes into the niche category of damage resistances. Sniper. Aiming for domes is really strong. I don't know how to tell you, but if people get shot in the head, they tend to die. A tier. Solar powered. Ignore radiation. That might not seem like a lot to some of you more irradiated types already. You come pre-cooked. For the rest of us, we got to keep a skin routine. Steady aim. It's a kind of a high special point requirement, but it's a really good effect. A tier. Strong back, 25 pounds. Get someone else to carry some of your shit. Tag. Not only do you get the +2 from, say, skilled, but it becomes a tag skill, which now means that it counts like anything underneath the value of it up to 6 is a critical. 2 successes. This is an easy S tier. Everyone who can take this everyone can take this at level 5. Everyone should probably be taking this at level 5 or 6. Terrifying presence. It's kind of boring. It might not work when you need it to work. Things can still ignore you and attack you, and then run towards your allies. It's not great. It kind of it functions, which keeps it out of the no tier, but it's not much better than that. And ending on a good one, a tough one. Toughness is an A tier. Flat extra damage reduction across the board. I think anyone who can take it get some use out of it, and your more specialized builds really want both ranks. So with that said, we've got the... So these were not ranked within themselves, but I'll do everyone a favor, and I'll just pull this over. Oh dear, let me just... Y'all didn't see that, don't worry about it. This is ranked within itself. So I'll let this stay up on the screen a little bit. Y'all can take a good long look at it and let me know what you think down in the comments below. I have been the Dr. Professor Majestic, and I am signing off. And I hope all of you have a fantastic day in the wasteland.